Let's see who's out there. Anybody there? This is going to become a regular thing, and this not sleeping. Oh, let's hope. No, it won't. I had great plans of sleeping early tonight. Anyway, here I am, still awake. Hi. Where are you from? Let me know where you're dropping in from. And say hi. As you come in, say hi. Tell me where you're from. And if you, I don't know what your time is over there. Here it's late. And I had great idea. I actually was tired and yawning at 9 o'clock. I thought, oh, good, I'm going to sleep early. 9 o'clock. I had great ideas. Saying I only had 4 hours sleep last night. And I'm feeling tired at the moment. I am, sorry. Which is nice to feel tired. I'm actually really appreciating that. And these days with the energies coming in, you don't get too much of that. How's everybody managing out there? Some people are absolutely buggered. And then there's other ones like me who well, where these energies coming in. I seem to have picked up one mistake, because when you go to bed, before I go to sleep, I want to say thank you. So I thank Source, and you start going on this appreciation rant. Well, that doesn't actually help, because I discovered, because when you do that, it just puts my frequency through the roof. I should just say, night, thanks, Source. But if I start saying, oh, thank you for this, and that was lovely, and you're running off all your appreciations, and then, of course, now your frequency and vibration go through the roof, and now you're all on a buzz, and you're high. Thank you for this, and thank you for that, and I just get all worked up and get all excited, and start, oh, this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to, and that's me. Now I'm like, we're like the Ever Ready Bunny, or that Roadrunner, that cartoon, the Roadrunner. It's bloody ridiculous. So join me, people. Let me know what you're doing. I want to hear from everybody out there for a change, what they're doing. Chat. It's nice to have an interactive chat with people. That's really nice. You can actually, I don't know, depends on people, and they should actually drop it, because you can go live. It's easier to talk to people. You can come on and ask questions, and you can chat a bit, and other people can join. That's really nice when you can have this interactive thing where you can, like, people can join, and you can have like a group chat. And gong therapy, yeah, really. I just try not to do appreciation rants, I suppose, when you want to sleep. It's probably not a good idea. But anyway, you think, okay, you're going to go to sleep on a good note. So you thank Source. I used to just say thank you so much, and just go to sleep in that love and knowing. It's a knowingness. But when you start going on appreciation, and you start running off everything that you're happy for and grateful for. Okay, College of Sound UK. Okay, that's nice. Really? Lovely. Okay, cool. Namaste. Oh, lovely. That's great. Well, you're in the right place. There's energy and consciousness. So frequency, vibration are massively resonance. Yeah, that's the future. Everything is to do with that. Okay, lovely. Oh, great. That's great. Hi. How's everyone doing out there with the energies? Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's see. I managed to get to sleep at 4 o'clock yesterday morning, and then I was awake at 8:30. I thought I'd woken up probably 10, 11. I got up and made my coffee, put the phone on. I was good grief. It's bloody early. Why am I awake? Oh, do you? Thank you. Oh, I'm feeling sleepy, which I'm very appreciated for. But I think I need to cut out this appreciation rant, because then I'm also, I had a great, I don't know where you are on your level of consciousness. That's difficult to sort of guess. But you kind of figure out that your thoughts don't come from yourself either. But anyway, that's quite interesting. And you get to that one, and they get fed to you as well. Nothing is, anyway, never mind. Bit of a game. So I got this wonderful idea that popped into my mind, out of nowhere. and it was just like, wow. So everything you could have, it's actually interesting, it's divine, because if you look at your life and then you realize everything that you've done led up to this, basically this idea. Doing this, everything you've done is like in perfect, it'll be perfect for you to do this. You have the skills, you have the knowledge, you have the everything, kind of thing. And everything you wanted to do, like this would be like your, oh wow, just like your dream, to spread love, to spread light, to empower, to uplift people, And I always wanted to do charity work, funny enough, before. So this is like, this is like top, top of the pops, if you want to say. So I would be, oh wow, this would just be so amazing. Yeah? Oh good, is it? Okay. Yes. Well, it's more than that. It's uplifting and all, not only just one aspect, there's all kinds of people and helping people and guiding us into the right direction. So much to be done here. There's so much, especially on as far as the earth goes and our energy and our food and it's just, literally everything is going to change, everything. We need to change, literally. But as our consciousness raises, it will anyway. That's the thing. It's just a matter, if the consciousness shifts, then we can get everyone up. Problems solved. Because everyone's on board and know exactly and understand this. But at the moment now, because we're on the way up, we've got such disparity in consciousness. We've got like very low levels and high levels and medium levels. I mean, it's all over the place. And unfortunately, those stirring a lot of, let's see, alternative media and other things out there is very much driven by the, it's uniformed sector of the government, put it that way. Some ununiformed, but anyway, similar line, which is all about, defense and threat. Otherwise they know. I mean, because you raise your consciousness enough, there is no need. Because when you're on a higher level of consciousness, you see everything as one. There's no bad guy. There's no war. There's none of this. So you're trying to create something to make yourself still relevant. That's that's the low. Anyway, I know. It's the last to rise out of that. Those that everything is a threat. Everything is, you gotta, that's a complete backwards. But anyway. Because what you focus on is what you get. So the more you focus on threat and control, the more, you'll get it. The more so they're just actually their own worst enemies, actually. But it's, I suppose, you want to keep yourself employed and you want to keep, anyway, if you're in that sector, you kind of want to keep it going. If you're on a low level of consciousness, Lovely. That's so nice. I know, it's so lovely, isn't it? Well, I think it's the best thing ever to see this. You know that we're on the rise because you can see it, because you understand it, when you raise, as your consciousness raises. And it's so uplifting. Wow, it's so amazing to see where we're going. Yeah, it's so, wow. It's amazing. I don't know. But this idea, like, just lights me up. So then, of course, I start going on my appreciation rent and I start thinking about this and all the things I can do and how I can help people and I can do that and I can do this. And then I start getting so excited because I just light up. I love it. Making other people happy. It's something that's always made me happy. It's not because I like to people please. I just like seeing people happy. Going around, oh, yeah, we do that. No, I'm not like that. I can stand my ground and, no, I don't have that problem. But I really enjoy seeing people happy. It gives me great happiness. It makes me happy to make other people happy or to see them happy. Other people's happiness has always been, I love it. It's never been like, oh, So that gives me great joy, I get so excited to think that you can make people happy and you could give them, uplift them, and that just lights me up like a Christmas tree. So there we are. Then I don't want to sleep much. Yeah. What about? Let's see. No. Okay. Going off. Yeah. Everybody else, who's out there? Who's out there? What are you up to and how are you doing? Speak, people. You want to chat and see that, chat and see what everyone else is up to and what they're doing, and you know how you're doing. That's obvious. But I want to know how other people are doing and how they see things, and what are they seeing. How they're feeling at the moment about everything. Thank you. Yeah, you too. I see. I couldn't sleep again. Gee. So I gave up again. But I'm actually feeling tired, so I don't think I'll be awake till 4 this morning. But anyway, I made some tea and I had a look at your thing and I saw that you've been running around New Zealand doing some nice walks and stuff. Yeah, it is late. I know. It's like, well, last night I got to sleep at 4 and I woke up at 8:30 in the morning. It's like 4.5 hours. I was like, oh my gosh. And normally I'm at least an 8 hour, 9 hour, between 8 and 10 hours sort of sleep person. Not, anyway, these days, no, not anymore. Not since this, not this year anyway. Definitely not. No, I haven't. I don't sleep much. This is a common thing with these energies. I don't. So when it's like this, I can often go 3 or 4 hours sleep. I just don't sleep. No, it just doesn't happen. Let's see. Hello.
Hi.
Are you also on the spiritual journey?
Hmm.
Are you on the consciousness journey or not?
No.
No. Oh, okay. Well, what did you join us to chat about?
I think
Sorry?
just chilling.
You're just chilling.
Hmm.
Okay, so were you just wanting to join just to lie there and... All right. We have oh my gosh, I know this planet is amusing. All right.
Good.
What can I say goodbye then?
Yeah. Goodbye.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Life on this planet is so entertaining, I tell you what. I scroll through TikTok and then I realize how far we've got to go. I'm like, oh wow, if you're awake, you think you can see things from a different perspective, and we're there and we're going to be there, but you don't. There's such a thing as time. So I think we're kind of looking at 100 years or more down the line, where it looks like tomorrow. You up there and you think it's just gonna, we're on that thing. But if you look at the amount of people that are waking up, it has exponentially shot up. The consciousness is definitely rising. It's speeding up dramatically. But if you just look around, if you just scroll through TikTok and you like, oh, wow, ooh, there's many that are on a very low level that aren't even. So the percentage is small, but we don't need a big percentage to shift. To manifest new earth, we don't need a big percentage at all. We just got to have them coherent. And unfortunately, this Red Pill Truth movement and other things is keeping people very much distracted and busy, because that's the uniformed sector that's having fun out there. They're trying to keep themselves relevant by making a threat an enemy, and we are making themselves relevant as whatever. Yeah, they're very much involved in that movement. Anyway, yeah. So we're not getting everyone on board on one thing, because the other half people still have shadow and they're looking for the threat and whatever, and yeah. And a high level of consciousness, there is no need for any form of uniform. Doesn't happen because you don't, but we're far, I see, from that. We could manifest it because there's enough people like the 100th monkey to tip the whole collective. We can tip the collective. We are ready. That's why it's as it's growing, our frequency, But they managed to drag it back down again. It was high last year. Very. The light was sure it was really. But they've managed to do enough of their nonsense pushing out there to drag people right down again and keep them very engaged in their dramas and stories and Cluedo. And sorry about that, people. I call a spade a spade. I don't sugarcoat things. It's just not being known for good at that. I don't kind of go, oh no. You know, I kind of say say it as it is. No, it's yeah. Yeah, they managed to keep themselves. They want to keep themselves relevant because they're on a low level of consciousness. You see, so there's a threat, and we're gonna sort it out, and we're gonna save you, and we're gonna and yeah, then who's we? Yeah, no, it was really unified and it was really going. So now they've caused a lot of division and it is because it's selling hate and them and and judgment and kinds of things that are not on a higher level of consciousness. Definitely not from source. But you know that. I mean, when you go above, you will see, and you're like, ew, yeah. Yeah, it's divine. It doesn't matter. It's a divine plan anyway. You know what I'm saying? Source is, still pulling the strings of all. There's only source. It's all that is. So it's just a game. And when you're out of the game, everything's fine. But it is, you're sitting there when you're aware of the game. You're like, oh, come on, people. Come on, But then you also know it's choice. And you can't intervene. And they want to go and play there and experience it. And they've got to, it's so complicated, yeah. You patiently just sit there. But, those of us that can see through all the games and illusions is to hold that frequency and hold the light. Because we need to tip the balance, we've got to hold as much as we can, that frequency, vibration and light, because we pull the collective up. So the higher we raise the frequency, it starts pulling more and more up. But they're managing to keep it very... It's all media. It's funny. Crown was saying that to people, stay away from media. I mean, all of it. Alternative media, especially. Mainstream media, there's not much of a difference, actually. It's dressed up as a different cookie, but it's the same cookie. And, when they've got pictures and they're showing you and telling you who's who and what planets they're from, and yes. There's a lot of games going out there. Wow, a lot. Everyone's like, it's like a free for all. Everyone's trying to get the collective and influence people, and there's a lot of yeah. I know. So you kind of you just cruise along and you just stay, and we can hold that. So I'm trying to hold that vision of Earth as done, which the perfect Earth, the healed Earth, the clean planet, the oceans fixed, the diversity, the beauty. We are holding that end result because everyone's got distracted and now they're holding this and they're doing and not such a pleasant picture in their mind, which has been fed to them. Oh my gosh, they're going to do this to you and that to you, and then this lot of feeding them this. I mean, it's messy out there. So it's, and a lot of people are lost in that whole story. It's just a problem, yeah. So no one, that's why I say we haven't shifted it, because it's going to take a long time as people slowly rise out of the door. I was like, ooh. So we got to just try and hold that vision, hold that vision of Earth, new Earth manifested, to get them up in there, as this perfect, clean, whole, fixed, manifested, diverse, green. I mean, it's perfect, absolutely abundant, perfect. Look, it gets you'll be on that timeline, but I mean, you've got to get everybody else, and the only way you get everyone else is by doing it, and then someone will raise them, and they come over, and it's just like like dominoes, I suppose. I know, but it's fun. That's what I'm saying. It's all a game. You know that. It's fun. And they got to work through their things that they didn't resolve or lessons and stuff. Okay. Yeah. I know. When I noticed the other day, if your mind gets too busy, like the Buddhas do, if you're trying to meditate, or your mind is annoying you, it's very active, and this is a problem because people are so addicted to this drama. Oh my gosh, you must see what they're going to do, and in this media, that their mind is. I mean, there's no ways they're going to get win with the ego in their mind, because their mind is just to get the mind. It's just too busy. Because they're constantly trying to follow and what's going to happen and they're going to do that and what they're going to. I mean, it's like, wow. So I just found this. You just do it for a few minutes. It's amazing, because in that vibration, that's what the Buddhas do as well. It is so calming on the body because it vibrates the body. It soothes the body. So you'll feel after a while, if you get into a certain tone, you'll hit a certain tone, and you feel that vibration right throughout your body. And then your whole body is like soothed. It quietens your mind and it calms, and the body feels like So if you have that, just go If your mind's annoying you, or you can't get this constant thought or whatever it is, negative pattern thought, if you're trying to break that, just start and you'll keep practicing until you hit you let a certain resonance of frequency in that'll just because your mind can't focus at two things at once. That's the good thing about the mind. You get to distract the little bugger. And yeah. But you can't get people to turn it off, you see, because they think they're fighting the dark, and oh my gosh. Yeah. So you've got, all media is just oof. Is not positive at the moment out there. It's both having the same effect. It's both keeping people in dark energy and focused on dark and focused on what they don't want, but they don't realize. Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. But I had to work through that, and when you're there, and that's it. Focused on fear, no, but it's also focused on you're a victim and they're going to do this to you. There's an enemy. That's so obvious, it's a very telltale sign. Yeah. And there's an enemy and a good guy and a bad guy. Then you're like, all right, we're playing cops and robbers. Yeah. Anyway, let's not even go there. But for me, it's distasteful, actually. But there's other ways for it. Everything has a purpose. Working from a divine purpose. Everything has a divine purpose. So sometimes maybe the intention is, but it will backfire. Sources know, as I say, there's only sources. Source is in control of all of it. You know that. You know. That's it. It's no big deal. It's going to go that way, whatever way. But we, as collective, we're going to see. Trying to steer the collective in the right direction. That's the thing. Anyway. Yeah, source has, of course, sources. Who's higher self? A source. Everyone thinks they've got their own higher self. It's like, no, you don't. That higher self, source, is the one source, is one divine consciousness that you're all communicating with, you're all getting your thing and your guidance from. So the whole plan is, and we know there's such a thing as time, so you can go into the future. So that all the possible timelines are there. And they see it as well. So they're trying to drag back humanity, because if you're on a lower level of consciousness and you're very much in the ego, you don't want that, because you, as far as you're concerned, you want the fight, and you're in the ego, so you always got to have an enemy, and you've got to have the bad guy, and you want to. And it's a massive $1 billion biggest industry on the planet. You don't want to become irrelevant, and we don't need you anymore. If you like playing, goodbye and shooting people, and if you've kind of grown up with that, and it's very much pushed down your throat, and it's you're taught to worship sacrifice for your country and all that nonsense. It's a very old paradigm, very old level, a dark level, and it is a dense level of consciousness. Just the fact that you can kill someone who's source, one of your own, you, is another, it's a very, that separation, because they don't see it. If they were in a high level of consciousness, they'd realize there is no separation. I am source, you're all, there's only source. And then you were like, oh shit. Yeah. And some are just lost. They'd realize who they are. That's all. So we get them out of that by raising the frequency and the vibration of the planet. That's how we raise them out of the darkness and wake them up. We do not raise it out of by hating them and judging them and sending and pushing out hate and wishing hate upon them and that nonsense. That definitely, because all we're doing is, people don't realize. They think, those are the evil, those are the bad people. We're going to, they want to lynch them and hang them and destroy them and this and that. And all this anger has been vented. They've been telling people, these are the bad people. So all this has been projected out there. So actually what they're doing is not spreading light. You are spreading hate and darkness. You are projecting out darkness and hate, and that's dark dense energy out. So they're getting these people that think they're light workers basically pushing out serious hate and things in the name, they think it's justified in the name of justice. Nope. Not as when it comes to the source. There is no, you know what I mean? That isn't. And that's not how you get them out of that. You're going to raise the light frequency and vibration, and that tips theirs. It wakes them out of the darkness. That you are spreading darkness, but because what you're sending out there, what people don't realize too, it will come back to you. Yes, that is not clever. So if you're sending out wishing hate and venom and nonsense and horrible things on people, because you've been told that these people are the bad people, it's not for you to judge, because you're judging actually source, that same source, that's, you know what I mean? And when you were in the, if you go back into your past lives, you see, yes, you're in a level of consciousness, you can't judge them, because you know no better. And you don't know, that's it. You want to help yourself and the planet raise them out of the darkness, which means you need to raise yourself out of the darkness too. And don't add to it and spread hate and spread judgment and spread justice. Justice is not a higher consciousness thing, actually, at all. And it's part of ego. It's part of division again. So yeah, we got a lot. I know that. I scroll through TikTok and some of the things I'm like, ooh. But when you're in that level of consciousness, it didn't used to bother me before. Because you were in a dark dense consciousness, you didn't. I can't watch somebody else. I'm like, oh no, that's like, oh. Because then you realize that's a very dark, side. But I can't judge them because I was exactly the same. You see. And you can go back, travel back in time. Some go back to in time, if you want to say a past life or you played whatever, whoever, parallel universe life. You can go back and you can see the dark, dense consciousness that humanity was in. Wow. Burning people and drowning people and stoning people and go back to that. It's like, wow. And you realize these people are just terrified. They're in the darkness, very much in the darkness, and they're frightened. It's fear. It's all fear-based. Same as what's going on now. And who's spreading this nonsense? They are telling people, oh, you're in prison, and they've got these things, and they're imprisoning us. So of course, what are you going to get from people? Humans are buying what other humans are telling them, and they don't even know who's behind the nonsense they're listening to. But you see, when you're holding that fear and ego, you haven't worked through your own things, you will absolutely, because it's in you, you're going to resonate with it, and off you go. And I was on that bandwagon myself, hook, line, and sinker, because I still held that in me as well. And so I absolutely resonated with it, and it drew it to me, and I followed it, and it was right, on the road of, anyway. It's sad, actually. But it's a game. They're just going to, when they pop out the other side, they're like, oh, shit. So now if you don't sort it out in this life and overcome that and forgive and all that kind of stuff, you have to, or you're going to draw some nasty things to you this life or next life, because you're holding that, you know what I mean? And it's still ego, and it's still judgment, hate, condemnation. It's ego. It's just fear, or whatever. Yeah, separation. Being fed to you by, whatever, someone or other. Yeah. Exactly. Peace. Oh, please. Wouldn't that be lovely? Absolute peace on earth. That would be such a bloody pleasure. Or peace just generally, and in the universe too. Just peace. Just, yeah. We get there. We definitely get there. We know that. But they're trying very hard to slow it and drag it and stop it. Obviously, everybody. There's so much, and people don't even realize, they're contributing to it. What you put out, it's almost like it just kind of. Don't think it's really cognized in a lot of things. People, it takes a while for it to cement it. And if your mind is constantly being distracted by all this nonsense, there's no ways you're going to be sitting working on yourself and clearing those things and even being aware of it. You think you're justified, you see. Yeah, that's this anyway. It's all fine. It's all source. Same thing. So you can't judge. It's like if you look back now in the lockdown, people were like, oh my gosh, the lockdown. We were all like, that was it. It was the worst thing ever. Now you look back and it's actually, like I say, I said when things kicked off and I was like, oh, this doesn't look good. And I went straight up. When we say went straight up, but I asked source directly. And I was told everything is perfect. It's a plan. Everything is absolutely perfect. It's fine. It's under control. And I absolutely knew not to worry. It's all got a divine. So I knew this was for the highest good reason. And I knew that we win. I knew it all works out, and everything else you just knew, because I'd seen all that. So I knew it was going to be good. So I said to everyone, don't worry about it. It's all perfect. Source is good. It's under control, and it's all going to be good. It's all going to work out. And if you look from the perspective now, you'll see actually it is, because it's changed a lot. We needed to change. But at that level of consciousness, you didn't realize. You're still in the dark, and you still saw it as a threat. So you realize now it's the best thing that happened, because it caused a massive awakening. It caused a lot of people to go with. There's so many things, you see. Exactly. That's also, you just don't see the plan now or the whole thing. It has a purpose. And there's only one being, source, the higher self, and he is, the divine consciousness, all our consciousnesses are behind this whole thing, in cahoots together, working as one consciousness anyway. So how can it go wrong? You know what I mean? From a higher perspective, this is a whole game and plan, and it's all fighting. It's just experience that's happening on the planet. And it is a massive expansion. It's quite crazy out there. And it is, because if you think about from source, when you're in the Maya, you can go down whichever hole you want to go down when you're in the Maya. And some people are going down some very, very troubling holes. You can see that the consciousness is very troubled. There's a lot of energy. The energy is unbalanced, unstable, fear, whatever. So there's a lot of delusion, paranoia, fear, and people are stuck on lower levels of, say, realms or dimensions or consciousness, and playing out some funky stuff. Some very funky stuff going on. And beliefs, I'm like, alrighty, let's get the tinfoil hat on. This is getting interesting. There's very delicious, because if you realize you create your, and you bloody absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That you can see it hasn't cognized. It's a very small percentage of people that really realize that they're actually you absolutely creating everything. Think, they listen to it. Dolores can say, right, next, let's go down here. They haven't cognized that they're actually doing it. And when you realize this, you think this is really funky, and it's validated. And they will validate it, and they will see it, and it will become your reality. It is absolutely real. So the more that they believe this shit, And of course, they get the validation and they see it. And then, of course, you know ways you can talk them out of it because they've actually created it. Is their reality. You're trying to tell them, you are doing this. If you didn't think that and looked over there, you would have a whole different reality. No, it's the truth. Because look, there's proof. There's the truth. And I'm like, yeah, but you're putting it there. It's you. That's so funky. Wow. Where? Yeah, England, UK. It's fascinating what's going on out there. And if you look at this, and I'm watching some people, and some of the content I see is very disturbing. You're like, whoa, it's very delusional there. There's a lot of psychosis going on there. There's some, so you don't know what they've tapped into, what realms, because I'm saying it's belief. So they've followed something, and people are believing the most way out shit. Absolutely. And you're like, and they're off on some, and they believe they are whatever they've tapped into because they don't understand it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. My accent isn't, no, I lost my accent. My accent doesn't exist anymore. No, I know. I had a very British accent. I worked in Africa for ages. And funny enough, my accent was, I only lost it probably in my late 20s. 30s, 40s, big time. In my 40s and 30s. I'd say my 40s, my accent really got bad. Because the countries I was based in, I kept moving. Different accents, different countries, different languages. So you try and master one, and then people also don't have a problem understanding you. So you adapt your speech and the way, to try, almost like to mimic them so they can understand what you're saying. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was there as well. Plenty. Yeah, I was there. All over in the last, I don't know, it's been quite a while now, actually. When I stopped in 212. When the shift started, oh boy. I was yanked, this shift, or this great shift, the end of times, 212. My life came to a screeching halt. I was like, you're not doing that anymore. You're going here. Poof. And everything just came to a dead end. It was like a screeching halt in my entire life. Let's put it politely. It was like taking a fan and throwing mud in it, and it spatters everywhere. That's kind of what happened in 212. It was like, at the time you just think, oh my gosh, your whole life just went down the toilet. Everything. So it's like, you're not going in that direction anymore, right? You're gonna, no, you stop going on, and it's very interesting. Very. So it was very, yes, I had a very interesting, it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. The challenge, it was very challenging and demanding and far from boring. But I was working with the military-industrial complex, you see. Or, as I say, that's why I comment about the nonsense going on now. I'm like, yes, well, you see, you have learned discernment. You're not as naive as the general public is. So they don't see a lot of games going on out there. So I worked in countries and for companies like that. So there were war-torn areas, or it was security military sort of thing. I worked in that. Never boring. Lots of. So yes, I'm glad it's not anymore, and I don't focus on it. So basically, a lot of my life was focused on. So all you saw was the worst part and the darkness and the dark side of humanity. And this is what's being pushed out to the public now, and I'm like so over it. And that's why it never changed, because that's all we thought about and focused on. Was, everything's bad, everything's corrupt, everything's wrong, and that's what you'll keep. You just can't get it through to people. Stop doing that. But they're being anyway, people are having fun with them. Yes. Yeah. Yes. There's great. I also met the most amazing people. Wow. You saw light. I remember there was a gentleman that worked for us. Not that he really could really kind of justify paying him as such, because he couldn't really work properly. I mean, physically, you weren't going to get much work out of him, but he was just the most amazing light. You know when you meet people and you know they're holding the light? That light is so, it shines, I mean, they radiate. And this beautiful gentleman, he must have been in his 80s in Africa. So we kind of got him the job. He wasn't really, he was just kind of there to organize everybody and do the count and, you know, whatever else. He had lots of illnesses. He didn't live around too long. And he just did like the prayers, you know, daily prayer. But when he smiled, the entire world smiled with him. I mean, you just could not help like the man. You know, I would have just given him a job for the sake of it, like just to sit outside, you know, whatever. Because he was just adorable. He was amazing. I've met some incredible people. So there's one thing about Africa. The light is, when it shines, it's so bright. But the darkness, there's huge contrast there. You got really, really, very terribly low consciousness in huge darkness. And then you've got the extreme opposite. Absolute love and light is just amazing. Yeah? Where are you from, David? Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful continent, but contrast is, look at the nature as well. Look at it, it's actually interesting. If you look at the animals, you can see the same contrast, you see. So there's a massive diversity in Africa. Oh, it's just a beautiful continent. There's such diversity there. That's the thing, you see. As well as in animals and with humans too, there's things you don't want to know and see, just beyond cruel, beyond imaginable, you know, that's really dark, low consciousness, old consciousness. And then you've got like people like that. I've met the most beautiful people. Oh my gosh, I will never forget them. You'll meet the most loving, generous, caring, happy, wow, just absolutely, you know, as I say, wow. Such beautiful, I mean, I love that place. The people, I love them. Absolutely love that continent. Africa to me will always be, you know, such a special place. And absolutely, the people I adore. The beauty, it's such a special place. And it's going to be the leader. Down the line, Africa is going to be the booming food basket economy, the golden, like America is now. That's going to be Africa. Give it 100 years or so, Africa is going to come. It's going to be incredible. It's got such a beautiful future. Are you in Birmingham? Okay, yeah. I know. I was because of the jobs I did, and I moved around a lot. I met a lot of people. And I had the privilege of working with the most incredible staff. I was so privileged. I mean, people I will never forget, the most loyal, the most loving people I've worked with. And it is so difficult to say goodbye to them. It's so hard, you know. So then I'd move and I'd go to another country. And they were great staff. I could have had a team second to none if I could keep, you know, take them around next country, take this lot, take those to there. I'd have a multi-cultural team of note, for one, all over the bloody country, all over Africa, from all different countries. And the most loving, loyal, incredible staff. So that was so hard for me. Do you live in Derbyshire? Okay. Yeah. I miss them so badly. I'd love to see all my staff again. If I could get them all together from all these different countries to see them. Some people I've worked with, I'll never forget them. Never forget them. Absolutely, you know, and you just, because of this nonsense and border rubbish, you know, they can't work there, they don't have a passport because you're from that country. You know, we've got ridiculous lines in the sand as though there was any borders on earth. It's just, let's not even go down that road. Yeah, it's a way to make money and taxes and passports, you know, and visas. You cross that line now, you need a visa to cross that line to go across that, you know, 1 meter over there. Yeah, I know. I love them. I love them. I love them to pieces. Oh, man, I miss them so badly. There's so many people. I would give anything to see the most humble, the most beautiful, the most amazing people. in so many countries in Africa that I've had such a privilege. Some died. I mean, yeah, some died. Some died malaria and other illnesses, but a lot of them are still around. And it just was amazing. I loved that. I love traveling, meeting the most incredible people, different cultures. You learn so much. Yes, the blind. Oh, absolutely. On the awakening path, if you look when you first start this spiritual journey, you think you know it all. Like you're out there, oh my gosh, this and that. Because I mean, from coming from what you did, you definitely know a hell of a lot more than you did. You didn't know anything, and there was a veil. So once you see, oh my gosh, everything on the other side, you get further carried away. Then you want to go past lives, and then you want to go see ETs, and you want to. But we don't bother to go look for the knowledge, the wisdom from the Buddhas that have gone through many layers, and all they've done is specialize and done this for their centuries and thousands of years. They kind of know. And if you go and listen to them a bit, they'll kind of tell you, no, don't do that. That's not what you think it is. Wildlife, yes. Oh, wow. I could spend my life traveling because I love nature. Oh my gosh. And snorkeling. Yes, the food, the cultures, the different birds, the different animals. I mean, and the countries and the land, the desert, and then you've got the mountains, and you've got tropical, and you've got Africa, and you've got just spectacular. It is absolutely spectacular. So yes, I mean I think traveling should be a must, Well, it is highly recommended because it teaches you, it expands your consciousness, it expands your. First of all, you're more understanding, empathetic. It bridges the barrier of this us and them bullshit and fear and them and oh my goodness, this. It's very easy to feed people rubbish too, and then people fear other cultures. They don't know them and they're different to us. But for me, I was normal. I mean, I was so used to living out of suitcases, and the next minute I was there, and that was it. I was just like a permanent wanderer, really. Yes, it's amazing. You meet such incredibly humble. That's what I say. Africa is something else. It really is something else to experience, but not as a tourist, because you don't really get it as a tourist. So it doesn't help going for 2 weeks as a tourist. You don't have any idea. It's not like living there. You see a very different thing. You go to work in these places and stay there, and you get to see it's a very different ball game. It's a great contrast. It's between the dark and light, and there's a lot of that, a lot of contrast there. But I mean everything in land, in nature, in diversity, and wow, it's just spectacular. And that I would have loved to have done, but my job, was I was a very, very busy. There wasn't much time for touristy playing. Let's go sightseeing thing. It was work. I worked extremely long hours. Okay, yeah. Yep, I was born in Essex in the 60s. There we are, we'll leave it at that. It was very different though, not like it is now. Now it's got a whole new name. They had some Essex Girls series, of course. And when you say you come from Essex, everyone associates with Essex Girls. I'm like, oh no, definitely not. No. Yeah, that's where I was born when my parents moved. Yeah. My mother never came back. She went over there and she died. She died there. She never came back. She loved Africa. Oh my gosh, she loved it. Wow. Yeah, it's so expansive. It's so free because you've got such freedom. It's expansive because it's open. You've got so much openness there. And much more freedom. I don't know these rules and regulations and nonsense and this and that. So there's a hell of a lot more freedom. Yes, it goes both ways. But the land, the weather, it's just a spectacular place. Yeah. She never came back. She stayed there and she died there. I highly recommend people travel though. But as I say, It's a lot of nonsense, this visa and nonsense and borders. It's just a way of making money. Certain people dividing up the country into making money, and then if you've got also that, you can start wars. And there's an us and them, you see. And there's no ways uniform sector would like that to happen, because it kind of makes them obsolete, because then you're taking the threat away. So there's a lot of money, as you know, especially, unfortunately, America's entire economy is built up on the military-industrial complex. Most of the money has gone into it. Everything went into it, and all these contracting. And then you sort of contract things out. You can avoid a lot of legislation in Congress. So, of course, then we started giving it to private companies. Everything went privatized, like they're doing now. And then it's not us, it's them. Oh, look. You know? Very clever. Yeah. Sorry to hear. Sorry to hear what? Amanda, what are you sorry about? Yes, it's a very... Yeah, I don't even want to discuss it. I don't like to focus on the dark, because then exactly I'm holding the vision of Earth that we need, that we're going to, that it's our end result. Then focus on now, because then we can't manifest and change it. I'm very well aware, more than I think most, of how not good things were. Far too much, actually, unfortunately. It's all I knew was, most people weren't even aware how bad things. Had no clue what was really going on out in the world, because they were just living their normal little lives, and I was like, no, it's not like that. So things aren't nice out there. I don't want to anymore. So it consumed you. The darkness will consume you. And I warn people, if you focus on the darkness too much, it will consume you. And it has a lot of good people. Oh, thank you. No, it's all right. As I say, if you understand, it's a manifested. She manifested herself out of you. And she's actually back on the planet now. She's reincarnated back on the planet. I actually asked her the other day. Yes, of course, there's no end. She manifested herself out of there. What party? No. Yes, she's back on the planet. She's reincarnated back. I actually asked the other day. So it was her birthday. She died a while ago, quite a while ago. She died young. She got cancer. No. What, a political party? Good Lord, no. No. Definitely not. But I love East Africa. Ooh, so beautiful. Beautiful. Actually, so many beautiful countries. It is just an amazing continent. You can't sleep. You will join the club. Hello, we're here. Who can these days? Who can bloody sleep? It's like, oh my gosh. I know. Look at me, sitting up again, second night in a row, or third almost actually. Not sleeping, having tea, talking. Just generally, yeah. But it's nice. You get to meet people from all over the world and share stories and get to know it. I love it. It's nice. And there's so many lovely people out there. Focus on that. Don't focus. I mean, I spent my life because that was the industry you're in. That's what I'm saying. Now you can understand why they're behind a lot of the nonsense, because the military-industrial complex, all it is threat control and darkness, and all they see is the darkness, work on the darkness, focus on the darkness, threat, security, this, that. So yes. And it's massive money. They don't want, they're going to create a threat if there's not one. It'll be, now we've got an alien threat, you see. I mean, really, you never go on there. No one bothers to go and ask the Buddhas, who've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years, and reaches a high level of consciousness about any of these things and those astral planes. And no, we just go and follow some, who knows who. My views about the Wide Awake Club, yeah. Yep, everybody bunnies. Yeah. It's like you've had too many Red Bulls, and here you are. Here we all are, eyes wide awake. Ah, you're bloody welcome. We're all holding space. I don't follow any of that nonsense because you're creating it. You must understand, they're putting it out purposely. There's no two sides in this game. There's one side. They're just playing two sides. They're creating this. If you don't want it in your life, don't follow it and don't focus on it because it will become a reality in your life. So I don't focus on any of that nonsense. I didn't even watch it. I don't follow any media, alternative or not, any of that nonsense, because you will create it. If you, and especially your mind is going to absorb it. You're going to be ooh, and you're going to, if you take it or believe it, you're going to manifest it, and that's what they're making you do. They're manifesting the outcome. The outcome's the same. Doesn't matter which side's telling you, but look at the outcome. It achieves the same result. Be careful. It's achieving the same result if you look carefully. Objectively, you will understand. What are you wanting to know, David? I don't know. Everyone's got their own opinion. You've got to make yours for yourself. I don't like to tell people what to think and believe. That's why I don't like to get into detail about that. People are in that role. They will wake up when it's their time, or when their discernment, whatever lessons they've got to learn, or whatever, you know. As their consciousness raises anyway, they'll start sort of, no, this doesn't resonate anymore, because you'll resonate away. Oh. I don't know about that. I think that's a long shot. That's a long shot. It depends where everyone is on their level of consciousness, you know what I mean? You resonate where you are. But yes, there's a lot of skullduggery going on out there. And don't focus on it, because if you focus on it, you're going to create it. Remember, what you believe, and this is what people don't realize, most of them believe everything that they've been told by any side. They are the ones manifesting it. And this is why it's been fed to them, because source, you can control and manifest your life, but you cannot interfere in the others. So the collective, we have the collective of humanity. So they are trying to steer the collective. Either side are trying to steer the collective in the route, in the direction they want them to go. So they are feeding them. This is what, and this is the good, and you need us. Ooh, used to look after you, and this and that, and we're gonna do this. And see, they are leading humanity. Oh, look, we all anyway. It's like Cluedo going on. And so you manifest it for them, because they have no power to manifest for the collective. But if they get the collective to follow and believe them, and you just have to believe it, you all tip, and you're manifesting, keeping them in jobs. That's it. And keeping them playing the same nonsense, and, you know, carrying on with their wars and division and, yes, just different enemy, different now. And now we're going to find off-planet enemies, because, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, they say. You know, we were those people, we're back again, and here we are. Now we're having, it's like a circle. So we're going back to opening up to joining our galactic friends again. It's just certain people want, and there's other galactics. Everyone's vying for humanity's, like, you know, getting who wants the brownie points as well. There's a lot of fun and games going on out there. So I say people should listen and ask the Buddhas about all of these. You think they haven't been through all those dimensions and realms long before anybody else on here has, and kind of know the ins and outs of all that. And people also, but they don't know who they're talking to. So because it's now, that's naivety to 100%, you know, as well. There's no discernment, and there's a lot of things. And there's not one fits all, you see. Some are genuine, some aren't, it's part of your learning. It's all good. It's just a game. And we're creating it. We're literally creating our experience, and that's it. So, you know, it's fun. That's what we are. We are creators. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're here to create. This is why we're in the Maya. We're playing, you know, these games. All of that rubbish. All of it. Absolutely all of it. Yeah. Absolutely all of it. Why? Because otherwise you'd all be focusing on New Earth and manifested it already. Because everyone would be focusing, and you wouldn't be focusing on any of this nastiness and drama and judgment and hate and division and crap. You'd all be focusing on, oh, it's so wonderful, like Uluru. That shifted. Everybody was focused on Uluru. You got them all together and they shifted big time. And then they were like, this is not good. So let's get humanity over here. All of this. There's no two sides here. It's just dressed up in a different... We've got the Cowas and Indians. Pretty much going on out there. The good cop, bad cop is the oldest game in the book. And that's it. And you've got to look at it and you can see that the objective, what are they... Never mind. It's just from a different angle, but you're going to achieve the same objective. I don't want to... It's just, who cares, you know, it's all... Yeah, it is wild out there. It's interesting what's going on out there. And then you see some people, I mean, are really buying into this stuff. Wow, but, you know, and very disturbed by everything. And they are creating it. And I'm watching this out of great interest, actually. Oh, yeah, these, you know, and I was like, because I did the same thing. You see, I was following, when I woke up, I was looking, because now you weren't awake enough, so you start following people to know what's going on. You're waking up looking for the dark. So, of course, you're resonating with that shit because you're in there. So, what do? You come across that stuff. Oh my gosh, do you see these things are, yes, something's after us. Something's trying to, you know, threat. Exactly, fair. Something's trying to kill us. That's your ego. Oh, it's going to, you know, there's, you know, you, oh my gosh. So I was absolutely, I mean, I was right down that hole. Anyway, I don't even want to get on that hole. So, I'm watching people do it big time. And that's what I say. You can't tell them because until they've got to raise their frequency and vibration and they'll resonate out of it because they are believing it. When you believe it, you will get validation. You will see it in your astrals. It is your reality. You've now creating as your reality and you can play that game and create whatever you want. You see. Sources, we didn't come here to all play the same game. I mean, what's the point? How does Source expand? How do we learn? How do we see from all perspectives? So Source is now getting millions of different perspectives of the same time, like on Earth. Not one of us is seeing things going through the same thing at all. There's massive expansion going on. Every one of us is seeing things from a different angle, having different experiences. Da 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 da. That's it. So sources, you know, it's all going back to the collective consciousness, the mass consciousness, which is the divine source, the unified field. And we're all benefiting from the experience. Here we are, especially those are non-physical. We're playing the game and everyone's benefiting from this great game, you know, that aren't the non-physical source. Are having lots of fun. You know, it's all exciting. You can't. Only by changing people's consciousness. When the humanity raises enough in consciousness, the whole thing is, you don't have to worry. Because people's consciousness will be high enough, they won't be doing any shit. They won't have a desire to do anything like that. They'll like, oh no, you can't do that. That wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't dream of doing things wrong or harming another living being or polluting the planet or trying to do harm to another unless they're new souls to Earth. So somehow will be new to the Earth game and then they're going to kind of get a bit lost. But they'll also remember when we had this frequency and vibration, anything that now fractals or source that want to come play human in the human game will have to come in that frequency and vibration. So they're going to come in with that level of consciousness anyway. So we're never going to go back to that dark nonsense. You know what I mean? Not in this parallel anyway. So yeah, I say, if you are a source of say everything's perfect. There's nothing to worry about. The divine plan. It's a divine plan. It's a new path, a new paradigm. There's nothing wrong at all. Everything's under control. Just that you here as a human, you're not in the unified field from Source's perspective. It's seeing it from Source's perspective. So you sure as hell don't think everything's fine. You're like, oh, especially if you've got shadow and darkness. You're like, oh my gosh, something's going to, you know, that's it. You're under threat. That's the ego. As people, no. I mean, what? We've got to hold that vision of earth, because that's where your power lies. Is hold the highest timeline, hold that vision of earth. Don't focus on any of this shit, because we've got to drag them out of it. No. If it's meant to be for the highest and greatest good, that's what will happen. Because source is under control. So you might think, oh my gosh, because we've been told this is the bad part or this is whatever else. If it is for the highest and greatest good, we just don't see it at the moment, that's what will happen. So remember, source, you all come from source. That's what I say, trust. What? People don't trust God. See, it's source or God or whatever. No. But that's the ego again, you see. Oh no, you can't trust anyone. You're going to be, it's threat. That's the ego. You know everything's fine. And so if it's meant to be what you think, maybe, as I say, but sometimes who you think is a good guy is actually the bad guy. Vice versa. Not always what you think. You can't see the whole picture from now. You're not getting the whole total because you're still in the physical. You're still playing human. So your energy or consciousness is limited. And your frequency, whereas source, as a non-physical, all our higher selves or beings as non-physical have absolute know where they're going and what their plan is, because you're all in on the same plan. You're all one divine consciousness anyway. You're just different. You're going to have different experiences, but the end result, we're going here. Yeah. We want to go there yet. We're all going to be guided where we want to go, because there's only source pulling the strings anyway. So if you just go back to that, well, what are you stressing about? What's the worst that happens? You're going to die. You're going to die anyway. It doesn't matter what's going on. You're going to die. What you call die, you think die. You're going to leave this game in this physical vessel, and you're going to come back again. But when you leave the game in the physical vessel, you'll go back to, it's like, oh, wow, okay, oh, well, shit, I really fell for that one. Oh, wow, and then you're like, okay, never mind. And then you can't wait to jump back in the game again and play, a different person and a different name and a different body. And, it's anyway. That's why I keep telling people, raise your consciousness and nothing will worry you. Not even dying, and when. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, source, the universe, however you want to call it, God, source, the universe, all that is, same thing. That's one. That's all that is. Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Oh, yes. It is amazing. And I tell you what, it's so freaking awesome to leave your body. So you won't worry. People that haven't woken up enough are terrified. That's the ego of dying, because they think this is it. It's me. The ego's the one. It's the mind that's scared of dying. The soul, you, source, knows you're eternal. This is temporary. This is not you. This is not you. You don't give a shit about losing your body, and you're so freaking happy to lose your body. Because when you're out of your body again, it's like, yay! Wow! You're not bound by this very slow, heavy thing with this low consciousness, and it's like, wow, you really get it. I mean, so you know what? And you're the one who's doing it. So you come and go when you want. You're not worried, and you're not worried when you go, because you know it's all divine. Because that's you going to pull yourself out when you. So, what do I believe in? The ultimate truth. When you raise your consciousness enough, or you seek enlightenment, you will see it for yourself. You'll remember who you are and what's on the other side. You're like, holy, wow, that's just like, what? You'll know the real power you have. And many beings and people are coming to planet and telling people that people aren't quite copying how they don't believe that you are God, God is you. You are part of, it's like you can't separate yourself. You and Source are one. See, anyway, so you work with Source, you have that power, but the moment your power is limited because your focus is a little being focused on this little body, you're playing this game when you're in the Maya. You don't have that, but you are pretty much Source projecting yourself here. So you, when you're in the Maya, have to work with Source. And you work with Source and trust. So that's it. You're good. You pay for away. And ask and you shall get it. Seek and you know, ask and you will receive. Seek it and you will find out. And at the moment, the planet's being distracted by playing Cluedo and good guys and bad guys and, you know, cops and robbers and all kinds of nonsense. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you are. Takes a while to transition. Yeah. Because you don't really go straight away, yeah. But being back with Source is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's just wacky. It really is quite an interesting experience. I don't have one. It is the truth of all that is, really. That's it. I don't have one anymore. I wouldn't say there's such a thing as a religion. It's just what is. It's just that's how it is. When you've seen it and you know. It's just, you remember who you are and you're like, oh wow, this is amazing. You seek, ask. If you want to know and you put all your focus on seeking that path, spiritual, to find your way to God or Source, you will get it. And then you're like, wow, it is so amazing. You raise your consciousness, then you're on that path, and all you're doing is focusing. But at the moment, everyone's focusing on this rubbish. You see, this is why they really put this movement out full time, because it was people were, otherwise we would have risen the consciousness very fast. We would be in a much higher trajectory right now if they weren't pushing out so much nonsense. But they've been planning. It's been well planned. Anyway, all of it, both sides of the media, the main and what they say they think is two sides, mainstream and not. They're the same thing. It's just they're just playing a different angle. That's all. Yeah. Understand psychology very well. But none of it's like, anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a weird experience. That's lovely. Wow. It's so nice. Very, very, very nice. When you know, because then you don't fear death at all. At all. Because you realize you don't die. And it's so funky. It's a lovely experience. There is no death. It's lovely. So you don't fear death at all. At all. Anyway. And if people were so worried, do you think they'd be focused on that? Do you think they'd be focused on reaching that, and then they would have control over, know when they can, and choose it, because you manifest that as well. You can change that timeline too. People, it's not set in stone. But people are so, so distracted by all the nonsense that's going on here and what other people are telling them. They're not focusing on their eternal side. But that's also Source as well. Source wanted them to. They'd get their ass kicked. If we all knew what was going on, the game would be over too. Remember, the game would come to an end now. So we can't all reach the truth, because then, you wouldn't really be in the Maya, because you'd know this is the Maya. But yeah, we're going there. The fear gets the whole point, so they lose the fear at least. So people would be happy being human and actually enjoy it, and we're going to, expand and not stay in this dark, cave, like cavemen. Yeah, it is. Everyone's hiding in the cave. Ooh, everything's out to get us, and everything's out. There's something that's trying to kill us all the time. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. We've lived like this. It's no expansion. So we are waking up to the fact that we're going to, create we are the creators, but obviously not slowly. Otherwise, the game would be over. If everyone reached enlightenment, could you imagine? There'd be no one wanting to play. Like the Buddhists, they know when they stop. They just know, well, what's the point? It's a game. So you see, those enlightened, the ones that reach that stage, they don't play anymore. They don't attach to anything. They know. And then they reach what they call liberation. They're free, and they don't have to reincarnate back again. But I mean, if all of us reached that stage, we'd all know what was going on, and then there would be, what you do, actually, you play because you play for the pleasure thing. Then you can really create the most amazing world, because then you know. that you are creating it all. So of course you're going to create something you really like, and you're not going to be in the ego because you would have risen above that to a high level of consciousness. So there is no, but then you see that would just be everyone's happy, and there would be, it also, how far can you go? Great, you can create, and you'd create wonderful things and expansion, experiment, but there's no contrast in that, you see. So it also has, I suppose, source has a limit. So there's purposes for what we do, and being veiled to a certain extent. Well, we chose this Earth game, and others we've played. So you've also got to see it from that perspective, from source. The whole idea, before you come back, let's say, choose to come and play human again, the whole idea is that you want to play. You just can't wait to get here. That one looks like fun. I want to go and get into that action. You can't wait to come back here and play. Because it's a game. But if you were now stayed as source, there would be no playing, because you just know, oh well, no, sorry, poof, right, I'm hungry, right, let me just manifest, I won't be doing anything. It's just go poof, and the food will be there in front of you. Oh right, let's just build a pallet. Whoops, there we are, it's there. So there's no pleasure in it, because you're instantly creating what you want, right? And we'd get bored, because we just go, there we are. So the whole point of this is like, oh my gosh, it's like a game. You gotta learn, okay, hit and miss is a reward. So when you do get something, it's like, oh wow, that's so amazing. So then source is all, this is fun, Yeah, anyway, you just forget who you are. You're playing, you can't remember who you are. That's what you're actually doing here. You're playing dumb. Meanwhile, you can create whatever you bloody want and manifest instantly, like Jesus did, because he did. He woke up and realized who he was, and there we are, bingo. And he tried to tell everyone else, you are not this. But they were like, oh, yes. But anyway, the whole thing is just perfect. Anyway, as I say, there's only source, and that's it. Yeah. I know, but that's what I'm saying. The pleasure, exactly. When you wake up, it's like, wow. And you wouldn't appreciate it if you could remember. If you came in with a high level of consciousness, there's not going to be wow factor. Because then you just know, oh, well, I can just create whatever. We've also got to limit ourselves, especially if you're veiled. Otherwise, you can create shit you shouldn't be doing. And so we could really do some serious damage when we're in the dark. We don't realize, but you see, there's another thing. There are in the universe ones, and so that some that have completely lost their way, but nothing can happen to you. You can choose to absolutely cut yourself off from the light completely, but you are eternal energy, so you can't ever disappear. So eventually, you're going to find your way back to source, whether it's 1 billion years or not, because there's eternity. There's no such thing as time. So as source, why are you worried? If you're going to go down, someone wants to now play and lock themselves in some, whatever, manifest some crap or believe, or end up in some dark game and wipe a planet out, the next couple of thousand years, it doesn't matter, because you are part of source. And you can't lose yourself. You can't not be. You are part of God. You can't not be part of God. And you can't destroy yourself. You will come back to source eventually. You're indestructible, your energy and consciousness. So you can do whatever you want and play as many beings and games and illusions and planets and dreams you want. You can dream whatever fantasy you want to do. Yes. That will make, you see, that would be judgment again. And I do have already some there. I'm working on cleaning that up. We've had a lot of darkness on this planet. And just go look at the history, and then you don't even have to ask a question. Just look at the history of the institution and the torturing devices and things they've had. That alone God used to give me going a long time ago. I was like, wow, this is very ish. And and all the gold we sit on, and anyway, just, it was always like, didn't resonate with me well. Never resonated with me well, no. Never did. I just didn't feel drawn there. The energy is just very off. There's no spiritual warfare as well. That's you fighting you. Spiritual warfare is us fighting. It's your ego. It's actually your darkness, your level of consciousness that you're fighting. There's only source. There's only you. So who are you going to fight? That's your ego. You're in the Maya. You're in the Maya. You're in the dream. When you're in the dream, yes, there's dark light. This is part of the game. You've all this nonsense, but there isn't any. It's your shadows, your darkness, your ego. That's the thing that hasn't died yet. That's what you're actually fighting, and you realize you literally, like Dolores Cannon says, everything around you here. There's only you in the room. There's nothing else. Even Bashir tells you are creating it. Literally. And eventually, when people get that ding dong, da 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 da, they'll stop creating shit and bad ETs and oh my gosh and these things and those things. It's all created. Because you are creators, you're very powerful creators. So anything that's out there that's not good, you created it, you put it there. You can change it too by changing your beliefs. Bashar preaches enough of that. What you believe and things. Because if you don't want to have these horrible things, like we're talking about, David was saying about this institution, right? It doesn't benefit us to still see them as dark, bad, because then they won't change. So if we visualize all religions coming together and there's no nastiness in it, that's what we will get. But we've got to stop focusing on what's here. We've got to visualize, like you can't focus on someone being sick to get them better. You've got to focus on them being healed. Same with that. If you don't want to see nastiness among our churches and dark things, and you don't want to see that, stop focusing on it. Stop believing it. Because if you believe this is it, how it is, that's exactly what it will. It is. It stays that way. We have to hold this perfect vision of people, collaborative, friendly, kind, caring, compassionate humanity. Everybody you meet is lovely, kind, caring. People are lovely, they're caring, they're this and that. Even me. You've got to train your brain because, for what we know, we've got to stop focusing on it. No, I know, oh, they don't, oh, that's bad, yes. And this is corrupt and they're corrupt. They're not going to change. We must send them love and light. We see our leaders. If we want good leaders, we've got to see them as always putting people's best interests, wise, caring leaders. You literally create your reality. But that's what I say. We will take a long time for humanity to get there. We've got another 18 years of this. We've got a lot of work to do. Wow, a lot of work. Huge amount of work. And but that's the thing. It's a slow process, this whole shift. And another how many thousands of years we're going to be playing now a different paradigm. And then eventually reach back to non-physical bodies. So we'll eventually get to that level of consciousness where we won't be like when we came on the planet. We didn't have physical bodies, and then we sort of half physical, and we were, going between spirit and half physical. Now we're going back up that route again. We'll reach that level. Humanity will evolve enough, depending on which parallel universe and you choosing to be on. Some people are focusing on some dark shit that people are feeding them. Off you go. Have fun down there. Stay on that one. You can stay on that parallel reality. I want to stay on this one that I've seen is beautiful, lovely, clean, abundant earth. And it's everyone's, there was all good and everything was hunky-dory and people worked together and were collaborative and there was just beautiful community. That's the one I'm going to. I'm planning on that one. I ain't going down there. You can have that. So I want to clean up my shit. I don't want to see, oh yeah, these people are bad and they're evil and they're corrupt and they're this. Because the more I focus on that, I'm the one who's keeping myself on that timeline. I don't want it anymore. I lived with it for years. I saw it as well. I just like, no. Because we have free will. It doesn't matter how you see Source. That Source doesn't care. You can love Source whichever way you want. Pray, buy this, buy that, whatever. And this is what it is, diversity. We've got free. So we will still keep that, but people will choose to connect with Source in different ways. But they will raise their consciousness anyway. So we will have unified churches and we'll get there. It'll go, but it takes time. So at the moment, they're going to be around for a while, but yes. believe that they'll be good. We've got to focus, as I'm saying. We will only focus at the moment. People, anyway, I did talk about that. At the moment, if people had common sense, they would give their leaders, you vote for local MPs or local councillors, whatever you want to say, local, I don't know how you, senators or nonsense like that, right? Now, what people do is vote for people that aren't parties. So what happens? They are loyal to the party. They sign contracts, like a work thing. You're signing. They do. Everything's a contract, people. It's contractual law or contract legislation. So when your MPs or your senators get voted in, then they join they've now become an MP or senator, they are going to sign, and they've got policies, and they're going to be to the party. You will do this, and you will do that, and you won't do this, and you'll be loyal to the party. They're not working for you anymore. And I'd say to people, if people had any common sense, just from a third dimension or not a higher consciousness level for now, you would make sure your MPs are going to do, not sit there, yes, I'm going to push for more buses and better schools and this and that for the area. Right, here's the contract. So everybody would get involved in politics. We here, because it was our own doing, you would get involved in politics. You would go to these meetings. You would confront all your MPs. Then the collective community would say, here's a contract. We are letting you represent us, independent candidate. Then if everybody was independent, there would be no more corruption from big companies. Your problem is now the privatization. They were very clever to get everything to be privatized. Very clever, very strategic move. So if people were intelligent, you would say, right, we are electing you as our local MP, senator, councillor, whatever you want to say. Here's your mandate. Here is your contract. You see, you're bound. You give them a written contract. You are bound by a contract. You do not do this, uphold you. You are in breach of contract. We remove you and replace you. Now people vote, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to promise you that. And then, of course, they go to wherever, the Senate, MPs, Parliament, whatever, wherever in your country, whatever, how it works. However it works, right? They go there. And then they join, and then they get vied by the parties and offered things, and there's lobbying and this and that. Oh, yes, right. And, of course, you can't remove the people until the next election. Now, they have sold you out because they now have signed a contract with a party or with this or their votes. If they were under a written contract, if people started giving their MPs and senators written contracts, here's a contract, this is what we expect you to do in our town, county, district, If you do not do that, you are in breach of see, they can't now go and sign. Now, can you imagine? Because now they go to Parliament or they go wherever, right? And now, of course, that's why you don't vote for anyone that's in a two-party system or any party. That's nonsense. It's hijacked. Absolutely hijacked. The parties are sponsored. That person can't take the bribery and corruption, because if he tries to take the money and he's now going to ignore what he promised the people, guess what? He breaches your contract and you remove him anyway. So there's no point in any company bribing your MP, because if they bribe him to do something, the minute he's now doing something that he's not supposed to be doing, he's in breach of a written contract he's signed with the people represented. And you remove him and replace him. You see, I mean, it's so simple. The problem with politics would be solved in one election. Because then there would be every independent candidate. There would be no party. Everyone would be the independent. And he would have a written contract. And this is what the people expect him to do. He's going to vote, and we want to see more, organic farms or more buses, schooling, whatever the hell in your town needs, right? Water, clean up your rivers, whatever else. Now, at the moment, nobody does anything they tell the people they're going to do. The minute they get in there, they get lobbied by some party. Which one are you going to support us? And now they either support them as independents, or they are now with the party, or they get lobbied and offered a fantastic job. Do you think they give a shit about it? Because they know in 3-4 years when they finish, I'm just going to go and work for that company. I'm going to be, you see. We were not in a very low, we were in a low level of consciousness, and at the same time, we just used to it. We couldn't think out the box, so we do the same thing, and oh no, we played tennis, and people are still playing tennis. Oh no, that guy, he's the bad guy. Or the people still believe that a company, it's like, here's an example. Elon Musk is now, people are falling for this nonsense. They love to push someone because they know you identify with a person, not a company. So you've got, somebody represents a company. So Elon Musk represents Tesla, but he's not Tesla. He's not, the shareholders control the actual company. The shareholders will fire the director or the chairman, whatever, very quickly. The majority of shareholders have the say over a public company. And that company has all those companies have massive contracts with the American government. A lot of them very covertly, all those companies. So that they are so big, they actually hold up the American economy. So Elon Musk is a puppet. He is a front runner. Because people are, oh, look, he's nice. Yeah, look at him. Focus on Elon Musk. Don't focus on who's actually running the business, who's really calling the shots of where they want to go. Look at the shareholders. The shareholders dictate. They were going to remove Elon Musk. Remember the big scandal? They were going to get rid of him. He nearly got removed from his own company because he doesn't. It's not his company anymore. It's not a private company. It's a public listed company. The majority shareholders vote and they decide who's going to be and what they're going to sell, what they're going to do, everything. Privatization was the biggest con humanity fell for and still falling for because there's no democracy. Absolutely none. And no Congress. We can't help look at Mark Zuckerberg's doing. There's no freedom of speech. Oh, but it's a private company. They can do what they want. What can we do? You see, privatize it. And then you can say, it's them. Send us again. It's like voting. It's the Democrats. Oh, it's the Republicans. Oh, it's them. And people are, and then it's him. You remove him and I'm going to do it. He's a good president. I'm the guy that's going to. And they've played the same game. And people still do it. And you think, are we going to learn? Are you going to vote for him? Because he's telling you they are wrong and then they get in and the same shit. And it's gone on and on and on for like, it never ends. And you think, but that's the level of consciousness we're at. So until the collective raised the consciousness, we're going to be playing tennis. Like we always have. You see. And we've also got to stop seeing them, and if you don't want them to be, stop sending hate. Wish them light, wish them love. Send light to them, send love to them. Because the more you focus, that's what I'm saying. It's so clever how they're actually perpetrating to keep the darkness there, because they're getting people focusing on such darkness on their leaders. What are they doing? They're keeping those people in such dark, dense energy, they are not going to raise their consciousness and get out of it. But if they got everybody focusing on sending those leaders intent and energy, because that works like hell, and you're sending them light and consciousness and love, whatever, those people will wake up. Problem solved. So the more we hate our leaders and see them as bad and corrupt and evil and this and that, and think and intend and send it out there, you are keeping them in that dark, dense energy. You are stopping them from raising their consciousness, waking up and seeing a better leader. And a change in your leaders anyway. So we've got to understand they're humans and they're in a dark, dense consciousness. And if you want them out of the dark, dense consciousness, we got to raise the frequency in consciousness. Not by, they're this and they're idiots and they're horrible and they're evil and they're that. And we send them and we intend and we see them. Good luck with that timeline you're going to stay on. You and yourselves are keeping yourselves in the darkness with them on those dark, lower timelines and lower power. Not a really, there's much, it's like, but I laughed at it because I thought, how simple is it? I mean, when do we learn? I'm thinking, why are we doing the same shit over and over again? Give them a contract. Your MPs and your people sign contracts with the parties, with this and with lobbyists and with whatever and bloody whatever, and the government, because now they become government employees. They're not working for you anymore. So it's like, you give anyone a contract. You give your employees a contract. You give the gardener a contract. Anyone you do a business with, you're going to give them a contract, right? Because there's no shaking hands these days. We'll get there. On a high level of consciousness, you won't, if you expect people to be honest and good, you will get that. If you expect people to treat you and be dishonest, you're going to get that. We've got to stop looking at what is here. We're keeping it here. If you expect everybody to be loving and kind and caring and good, that's exactly what you will experience. And if each of us does it, eventually we'll have no bad shit out there. Everybody will be like that because we are creating our reality. I'm preaching to the deaf here. I know this. That's why I didn't say anything. I'm just getting on, holding that lovely timeline. And then, when my time is up here, there we are. Just come back and play another round. And you just got to watch. What can you do? Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, a lot of deaf. There's a lot of deaf out there. A lot of deaf, yes. Because it's just people get sort of the idea, but then, it's... I'm amazed, and you just watch and think, okay. It's like, you watch a child put the finger in the plug, it's going to shock yourself, and then they do it again. You're like, all right. But this is what this two-party system... And I'm like, well, why don't you just give them a contract? Immediately. You'll change your politics so quickly. Here's it. All of you, go to the rallies. Right, we're going to draw up a contract as a collective. Us as a community, whatever else, we decided this is what's important to us. All of you get together, right? And then you agree as a district, say, this is what you want. Right, the collective. Now, get the contract drawn up. You will be our minister, our MP, our councillor, our senator, and this is your contract. The next 4 years, if you're in breach of contract, bye-bye. So you're not going to be working for the big corporations and for this and for somebody else's interest to line your pockets. No. And send them love and wish them and consciousness and see them as, don't expect them to be. If you expect someone to be bad or corrupt, they will be. Because you are a creator. You're creating this shit. You're creating your life and everything around it and everything. Anyway. I know this is like, I was preaching a while ago when there was the big G7 meeting here. I was like, people were like, yeah, we're going to do it. And I was like, no, everybody sit there, do your meditations, focus on, send massive love and light to them. Don't send, you this and we just want to, we're going to, no, don't do that. We want them to rise out of their darkness. And then they'll be like, oh, no, let's look, they'll be on the same bandwagon as you. Let's get them on the same bandwagon. Let's not keep them in the dark. We don't want to send them dark and hate and judgment and condemnation and horrible things. Yeah. Exactly. I know, well... Yep, but we've got to wait till we get the 100th monkeys now. We've got the awakening going, but we've got to get people on enough level of consciousness, and we've got to get them... Anyway, we can't anyways. I say it's Source. Source is behind us all. So Source is, we all signed up for this one. We just got to play your game. Do your part, and that's it. And Source, in that time, everyone will do that. They'll get there. They'll get derailed if they go to, or they can choose to go, whatever. But the plan will still happen because as a collective consciousness, we all on board on the other side where we want to go. And we're going to, guide. In the Maya, we'll be guided to a certain extent, But we also have choices. So if you want to go down the dark, dense, the not such good parallel earth or the old earth, you can stay on that one. And that's the one where you're focusing on and you've got terrible corruption and evil and this and that. That's the one. So if you keep seeing it and believing your leaders and everyone's like that, that's the one you on and you still there. And you keeping yourself there and them there. I don't want to be on that earth. So I'm trying very hard because it's a massive amount of... We focusing on what is to change those beliefs... It's a lot. You see, because this is what we used to, what we've grown up, what's the world around us. So you're looking at that and you're saying, wow, all right. So now, if I carry on seeing all the politicians as corrupt and this is that, we know what was and what we created. We're changing it. But if I keep seeing them and expecting them to be in this, that's what they will be. And I don't want that. I'm like, no, that's not going to benefit me or anybody. No, we don't want to see this shit carry on. So I play these games with myself. I go out shopping and I expect everyone I come across is going to be friendly and kind and caring, and they are. So I know it works. I do it. Practice these things, people. You go out to spend night and love, and you watch everybody come around you or smile and be nice. You affect those around you. You can see it happen. And when you realize, ooh, I can affect, yes, you can. So then, right, so now, do I want to? No, I don't want to see any sort of child abuse going on. No, we don't want to keep that in my reality. Right, so let's see the churches all united, better for the people, good, and see the opposite. See what you want it to be. And I see the leaders, even now I'm trying, okay, I'm going to release those beliefs. That does not serve me to hold on to those negative patterns, thought patterns and beliefs. It's a negative belief to see, the world and everybody is corrupt and bad and this and that. No, it's not serving me now. I don't want that. That's not the world I want, right? So why am I keeping on? Why would it serve me to keep creating that? It doesn't. So I want to visualize collaborative, kind, friendly, helpful, lovely people. And I do that around me all the time. But that's the world I'd like to see. So with Gaia, I already do. Every now and then I'll catch myself slipping and Gaia, no, don't focus on that. We're focusing on the skies being cleared up and clean, the oceans being, I've seen it. But it's further down the line. Gaia was absolutely pristine. There was a timeline. There's many possibilities out there. The highest timeline for Earth, the new Earth and Gaia, is out there. And it was incredible. It was beautiful. It was all natural. It was green. It was the organic timeline. Wow. So because I've seen it, I have a visual concept of it. And that's what I'm focusing on. Collaborative, unified people, a very high level of consciousness, everybody together, collaborative, kind, loving, this, that. Gaia was at the center, because we realized everything's alive and, whatever else, and we didn't work from a cut-off connection. So that's what I want to work on. I want to see our leaders as always doing the best. So I'm now, when I say that in figures, doing the best for people. Acting in the people's best interest. Wise leaders with wisdom, kind, compassion. Those are good affirmations. Rather try and cleanse and clear, release, choose, because it's a choice. I choose to release that vision, belief, whatever, because it doesn't serve you or anybody on earth to carry on. But that's what I said to people. This is what the alternative red pill movement is pushing, and people do not see the darkness in it. They don't get this. And I warned them a while ago. I said, people, sometimes what you think is good is the opposite, not what you think. It's not what you think. Anyway, it doesn't matter, as I say. We're eternal. No, whoopee. What harm can you do? You can trap yourself in a crystal and believe you can trap yourself in a prison planet. You're going to create it. You'll create that reality and you'll be stuck there. And you can do that for a couple of thousand years if you want to. And then you'll be like, oh, hell, shit, did I do that? Yeah. Right, let me just change that now. And then you'll get yourself out of that and carry on because you're eternal. We've been going from planet to planet to planet to planet and playing these games. Like, wow, a very long time. So if you want to believe anything that you're going to be soul trapped and this species has got you here and they're manipulating you and whatever you want to believe in, dark, nasty things, good luck. That is the world you're seeing, you believe, you will stay on that. You won't even know that there's another experience and opportunity in other planets and parallel reality, a nice one that you can choose from, because you totally believe that and you have all the right to, and Source will support you and it'll be validated, and that's what you will experience. So you will think, yep, that's the planet. Oh, this is a horrible Earth. Oh, yeah. And it's exactly where you're going to be stuck. And if you believe something can trap you and spook you and curse you and do whatever to you and attach to you, and that's what will happen. People have to really cognize you absolutely create your own reality, like completely. Then you will be very careful. When you start thinking, you'll think, okay. Always think. Think about it. It's like shopping. Do I want it? No, I don't want it, that one. Yeah, no, but I'm saying in the Maya you can. So I'm saying it's choice. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. You are creating it. Nobody else. When you leave the body, yes, you can't. But in the Maya, you absolutely can. You can choose some really nasty things. I mean, go back to some of the lives you've had and some of the ways you've died. And not nice. Not nice. No. But it's experience, because as a eternal part, you know, it's quick. You just watch this whole thing. You're not actually. So you just observe what's happened to what you call the body and the game. And that's it. Not pleasant though. So yeah, you can do some really nasty. You can create some really, like the Crusades, like burning all the witches. They were all burnt at the stake. That wasn't pleasant. If you want to believe other species are going to have got you imprisoned and you're all slaves to some other species off planet, whatever someone's telling you, and your soul's trapped here, you can't escape Earth, and well, there we are, You're happy to create that game, It's very dark, and you're keeping yourself in dark dens. So you are holding yourself from raising in consciousness and reaching higher dimensions and higher knowledge, because you are holding a dark dense belief, and it's fear-based. You are holding yourself here from seeing the actual truth and escaping it. Don't focus on the darkness. It consumes you, and you will be stuck in it. You are trapping yourself. Nothing has power over you. Nothing. Your belief and your choice is what you get. That's it. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I know. Wow, it's frightening actually. And then when you do start with, then you start thinking, oh shit, because then you realize, and then your mind is so used to this crap. You see, then your mind starts wandering, and you're like, no, don't do that. Come back here. Because you're going to manifest it. So you're much more conscious. When you start going down, a negative thought pattern pops up and you start thinking negative things. You're going to draw to you. Oh shit, I don't want that. Put some music on. Let's go for a walk. Let's distract our mind. You've got to keep that mind busy. Because now you're aware you are creating your own shit. So you're like, oh shit, I don't want to think that. No, we don't want that happening. Let's think of something nice. La 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 la. That's what you do, I'm telling you. Same with me. I'm like, I want to manifest something, and all of a sudden the mind starts, because it's negative thought, it's habits, thought patterns, and fear will pop up, and I'm like, no, you don't. Not even a few seconds. You don't want, because so many seconds in that form. That's like, oh no, you don't. Or I'm like, oh, that's nice. Exactly. You distract the mind, and that's where it's a very good thing. Abraham Hicks is very good with trying to be general and distract the mind. And then you're like, and when you're now in a different frame of consciousness, now you said your meditation, right, release that shit. I don't need that. No, get rid of it, thank you. And then you consciously choose to release it from your cellular structure, everything, and then it won't bug you again. But you've got to distract the mind, because it's reprogrammed. It's like a computer, that thing. It just goes on and on and on, and you're like, no, don't do that. Because these beliefs and things we've had for so long. That's the planet we grew up. So it's very difficult for humans not to focus on what is. They just, oh, but that's true. Look around you. Well, if you wanted to change, stop focusing on this shit. Oh, I know, it's like, oh my gosh. Anyway. So pretty much you keep to yourself and you get on with it, because the collective don't get it. And they can't, because it's that consciousness. So if you're here and they're there, it's like it doesn't sink in. It goes over their head, because they're not ready. They're not in that frequency and vibration. They can't absorb the information. It's a different, it's like different, some of them won't even find your videos because it's a complete different frequency. They're on this radio station and you over there. So they're on a different parallel reality. They haven't risen. So I mean, it's like all these you've got to consider. So you know, and you know your source, and you know you're all together, and you're all whatever. So it's not like anything can really happen to them. They can, you know, maybe end up removing themselves off the planet or some shit, having a shit time. And then they will, but when they leave the, you know, the game, it's all good again. And then they'll be like, oh, shit, you know, ha, ha, ha. But even that, when you look back, nothing's bad. Because you come here to experience. There's no bad. You do not look at your life and think, oh, cocked up, oh, dear. No, that's not true, actually. You don't. You look back and you think, wow. From source, from that perspective, your life is perfect. No matter what cock up you made, if it was bad, traumatized, it's perfect. Because then you see the real reason and the truth and the higher perspective. Then you're like, wow, I promise you, no matter what life you've led, it's perfect. In the eyes of Source, it is perfect. Because whether you wanted to experience love, forgiveness, survival, work on the exactly intellectual mind, you've got to go through all these. There's a whole lot. It's a whole part of a game. It's a process we're going through. So we've got to go work through it all. That's it. It's absolutely perfect. You don't look back and think, oh, gee, I messed up. Oh my gosh, there's judgment. I'm going to have to go back and learn. No, you don't. It's perfect. And it'll blow your bloody mind when you see the actual real reason why some of these things you chose to do, even what you think are big mistakes and wrong and bad, and you've got guilt and other kind of crap or nonsense about it. You beat yourself up about it. It's got a divine, it has a higher, much higher purpose. Blows your mind. You'd be like, wow. I mean, I've had some very darkness I experienced in this life. Wow. It's had me wanting to leave the planet willingly, I wanted to exit myself off the planet. That's how much darkness was there. And when I was shown the whole thing, I was like, oh my hell. It was perfect. When I jumped that timeline and exited my death, it was like, wow. Yeah, it was amazing. And you were like blown away while you experienced that. You can't believe it. It completely blows your mind. You think, wow, is that why I went through all that shit? It blows your mind, actually. I know. If you choose to stay here longer, yeah. Anyway, I jumped 2 timelines, 2 parallels. You reset, you go to the cave of creation. 2 resets. So that's, wow. I was in a very dark, dense place. Ooh. But that blows your mind, as I'm saying. I was mind blown when I realized why I chose to experience that. You were never a victim, and that's another mind bender. You're like, that's the most liberating thing for people that have experienced serious trauma, because they still think it's a trick that happened to me. I would say you feel victimized. That's why we've got all this victim consciousness on the planet, big time, and they're playing on that. Oh, you're a victim. Look what they're doing to you. You see, big game, very clever, very clever. But when you see it for the highest, but why you experience that, you are absolutely mind blown. And I laughed. I burst out laughing. I was going to shoot myself. It was that bad. If I had a gun, I would not have been here. I would have exited a long time ago, back then. Yeah. I went there more than once, but yeah. But yeah, I kind of manifested. I had wanted to leave, so I did manifest myself, because we create our own reality. I manifested myself, but you can go watch my videos on YouTube explain that. I did manifest myself off the planet. I thought, anyway, I didn't quite get it at the time. I thought they were showing me that I was going to be leaving shortly. So I saw my own death, everything. I went through the whole thing. But I didn't realize I had to sort of experience it, but I jumped it. So that was a timeline I was on, and that's how I was going to go. So, but I didn't, because I just now shifted so I could, whatever, yeah. Very funky experience. Very interesting. Very, very, very. So it was really weird. you know, you watch yourself die, you go through the whole thing. I watched my kids put my ashes, it was my old house, under the tree and everything, and you know, I watched them take my body away, and I'm like, yeah, and then go back. It was a whole thing. I jumped parallel, yeah. If I had stayed on that thing in that dark, they would have been it. The game would have been over. But because I had started my awakening and raised my conscious certain level, so it was like I moved a parallel reality. I jumped to a higher parallel reality or whatever version of me. Not actually, it's not this. It's complicated. Not even the same person, but anyway. Yeah, it's a massive cave, but as he talks about, it's not in this dimension. It isn't in this dimension. It's multidimensional, so it won't be found by any humans trying to anyway. Nothing, because it's part of the game. But it's what I assumed. I heard Crown talk about it. I assumed it was Gaia's heart, as the heart of Gaia. Until I heard you talk about that, Stephen. Until I heard Cryon talk about it, and I was like, oh wow, interesting. So that's the first time I'd heard someone talk about it. So yeah, it's a massive. I don't know. I just ended up there. It was a massive. It's a massive crystal cave. So I was taken there to activate the thing and the crystals for this whole Uluru thing and some activation thing. So I just thought, okay, well, it's Gaia's heart. I had to activate it anyway. It was the weirdest. A few meditations. I ended up there when this awakening process, beginning of that year, that Uluru story. Very strange. So I ended up in this massive, which I knew it was a center, Gaia's heart or power center or energy center, whatever it was that you were aware of. It's an incredible cave. So through your third eye, you go there. It's just pure quartz crystals. You know the clear crystals? Massive. So you're sitting in this massive, it's like energy center, and I had to sit in there and send out. It was weird. It was a strange thing. I ended up there and I was sitting there sending out love, 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 and out focusing massively. And then I went back again, and I remember having to activate. I was also going around. I was weird. I was walking around activating to plants and bloody other weirdest shit. And I was clearing, walking around certain areas and clearing grids, and you get guided to do the strangest shit. You have no clue. But yeah, I was there, and that's when I was the one who told everyone that she started to ascend. She started moving. We moved out of the third dimension. Science can confirm it as well. I was like, right, as I went there, next minute I was taken there, and Gaia had started. It's like, I was amazed. The whole thing lit up. It was completely lit up, and she started moving up. So literally, the planet actually moved. That's when we moved into a new part of the solar system, out of that 3D sort of dome thing. And they were talking about, and they were worried. They were like, oh my gosh, we were under some sort of, yep. Funky. Massive, yeah. So I was there a few times. It was interesting. And then I was going around talking to crystals and getting them to try and activate all the crystals on the planet to raise the frequency of the planet. And I was doing weird shit. We've all been all over and guided to do all kinds of interesting things. I'm doing clearing in my area. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Weird. I don't know. It was interesting. It was fascinating. Wow, really fascinating. I don't. I did it. I've shared it. So if you go to my YouTube channel, there's a video there called "All the Benefits of Transcendental Meditation." Go there, and then you'll see there. I've told people because it's free. There's Dr. Stephen Greer. Did a 5-part, he uploaded a 5-part, he did a course, obviously, teaching people, right? 5-part video series. Someone filmed this course. And he does it very well. So he describes it very well. Or you can get that SE app and you can go do it. So you just listen very carefully what he does and practice it. Take in what he says. Don't try and push it. Relax. Like anybody would, same thing, anyone would teach you to do it. You don't try, things come up, you don't try and push it away, the mind gets busy, you relax, just let the mind, just observe the mind, And so Stephen Greer does a very good one. You can listen to that to guide you through it and listen to it so it sinks in and you know it verbatim, then you can go out in the forest and sit there and practice it. It's just a matter of keep doing it. It's like exercising the muscle. So I shared, videos that'll help the mind get into that because it's resonance and frequency. So there's sounds, I shared music. So there's things in the description, I've shared things there. Useful links. And and that link to his things to tell you how to do it. It's all there. It's fascinating there, but it was interesting. A massive cave. Yeah, I still shared it. I still sent a message to video. I played a video about it. It said guys started ascending. Guys, it was like, wow, I was so excited. She started moving, yeah. Started raising, and that's it. And officially we actually started going up. It was amazing. Done some interesting shit. Interesting. You've been guided to do some interesting things. Wow. But yes, and then I heard him talk about this cave of creation. And I went there twice, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. Don't know. I just thought it was Gaia's. I saw it as Gaia's heart center, energy center. This is the main, the center of Gaia, or her heart, or whatever it is. You knew it was. I was taken there by one of my crystals actually once as well. One day I was walking past crystal, and I was like, I got this message. They wanted to tell me something because I needed healing. I was trying to heal. So I was taken there to do healing on the brain as well. It was amazing. Next minute I ended up there. So the stone, okay, what does the stone want? They also have consciousness, believe it or not. And you can tap in, you can communicate with them. It's amazing. And the next minute I ended up there again, and I was sitting there, and they were working on my head, on my brain. I've had some off-planet help on that one as well. Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah, it's incredible. It's massive. It's massive. So it was like powering it up. You're sitting there, I had to go sit there and like meditate and power it up, and then anyway, it's like putting energy into it or something, whatever. I don't have a clue. But then I consciously was, because you can communicate with anyway. Yeah, interesting. But you remember when we were in Egypt? Well, my ears are ringing big time now. So some frequency just went up. For a minute, I just heard a massive, and they went away again. Yep, it spiked again. So there's definitely a higher frequency around me. Frequency vibration's gone up. I can feel it even in my body. Anyway, I remembered one of the lives, or many from Egypt, that in Egypt time, so many things I've seen. Wow, fascinating. Even when we put the dome, when we actually encapsulated Earth in the third dimensional energy or thing, this whole game started. That was interesting. Wow. So we did that as well. Oh, never mind. Long story, but I saw that we actually stored information when they fled, when the priests, the people that guarded the esoteric information, like all of this, right, from Egypt, the ones that trained, like after Atlantis sunk, the ones that carried on from Atlantis and guarded that information and trained people, that the guarders of the after all the knowledge, the esoteric shit, whatever. So you had to go through the whole wisdom school esoteric thing and learn this stuff, right? When the shit hit the fan, we used to, anyway, before, we used to teleport from 2 different places on the planet. We used to move ourselves through the rocks, some of those portals. So we used to teleport to different places between each other, and we're off planet once upon a time. So we used to go through the port because we could do that anyway. But we stored information. So basically, I've described a lot of the stuff in my videos on YouTube. I uploaded a lot of this. I shared a lot of this stuff. It's on videos on YouTube. We stored information. We used them as a library. So the rocks are like gatekeepers. It's stored. So I even wanted to go. I went to one of the rocks. I wanted to ask them something, and they wouldn't let me past. It was, what do you want? Wouldn't let me past. And so you go back and there's stories, and you can listen to the Peru, and they'll tell you. Those people used to walk through the rocks. They'd get there, and the next minute they would just disappear. They'd go through the rock. Priests used to guard that rock. It was like a portal. The energy to work it. There was all 3 of them. They talk about their stories, and someone said, yeah. And the rock won't let you in, huh? So if you're not holding the right frequency and vibration, or whatever, you're not ready at that dimension, it will not let you in. It will not let you pass. We used them. So what we did was put that information and stuff, whatever, there until obviously we reached till we were back to that certain frequency and vibration of consciousness again. And that you'll see now. Look, why do you think we're discovering things like Atlantis? We'll start discovering. And I said to people, you'll see new species, new animals, new birds, because as we raise in frequency dimension, the ones that can't come with us will become extinct. We will have new species come out, new plants, but the same thing, we will discover stuff. It's always been there, but it just was in a different dimension, so we didn't see it. We'll make new archaeology, and a lot of them. Have you not noticed the last year or so? Oh, new discovery. We in archaeology found this, we found that. Yes. And there's a lot more of it, but at a much higher dimension. I've seen things on this earth that, wow, that are much higher dimensions that this lot would love to get their hands on, but they sure as hell won't. They're not even on the right dimension to find this stuff. But we will start uncovering stuff. We will find it as we raise to that dimension and frequency. We won't. It's like anything. It can be right next to you, but it's invisible until you're on that frequency. You're not on the same channel. There's shit on this planet, boy, we haven't. So they will start discovering stuff if we're ready for. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye. Fascinating, yeah, it's fascinating, man. But we did, yeah. And you can, and the rocks will stop you, hey? You can go now and ask them as well. You can ask them, like, you can go to Stonehenge, ask the rocks, who built them? Don't ask people. You can go to the rocks and ask them, who built you? And they will tell you. But some information they will not let you, they won't let you pass, they won't give it to you. And I remember doing that. As a being, I was one of those beings in one of those priest things, more than one anyway, in Peru, and in Egypt. One of those ones that guarded the information, protected the information. Yeah, used to weird shit anyway. More than one life in Egypt anyway. Goes way back than our timeline that we were given here is completely off. The so-called pyramid, the timeline we've got here is no ways. It's much older than 5,000 years. Yeah. Much older than that. Yeah. Anyway, people, it's late. Getting a numb bum sitting here. It's lovely chatting to you guys. It's a pity we can't chat. They're going to try and change this app. I don't know what the time is here. So yeah, we've had some interesting things on this planet. And as we raise in our frequency and vibration, people will start discovering, you know. But there are some things on the planet that we had very high. When we first came to this planet, and we were, and by the way, we weren't even from this planet. Long stuff. We had a much higher, we were on a much higher dimension, even much, people think it's 5, we were much higher, yeah, much higher level of, we didn't have any physical bodies even at that stage. We came in non-sort of physical body. So I've seen some things on this planet that are not here, but I know where they are, and I'm sure they're going to tell anyone anyway, and they wouldn't find it, it's not on this dimension at all. That I know for a fact on this dimension. It's a much higher dimension. We're far from that. So no, we will not be finding it in a hurry. Which is a good thing, exactly, because it wouldn't be looked after, respected, or anything. A lot of these things wouldn't be. But they will be finding more stuff. Because that frequency... Did you, yeah? You do. I actually had some deja vu the other day. There's a man I follow here. He's got a channel on TikTok. Very nice. Does philosophy. I love philosophy. And I happened to catch just little shorts, like short videos. But I love it. It's interesting. I think I've shared one of them already. Yes, I did share one. He's got one on ancient Irish wisdom. Very true. You can see that pagan wisdom comes back from that time. When they knew better not to attach to things. They knew that you don't do that. Anyway, he was talking about some chief. I think it was an American Indian. Who was known as a great peacekeeper. He gave me the name of the guy. Shit. And he apparently was stopped all the wars, the tribes warring. He caused, he was, bring all the tribes together and caused to bring peace. And I don't know, just by his little short story and telling me in the name, it was like that, just like, uh-oh. You know, when you're like, hang on a second. And I was like, okay, yes, no, that sounds like, I think that might have been me. And I know I was more than one, because I've seen myself as a shaman's way, all these kind of things. And I've also, because I remember I didn't know in the beginning when I woke up, I was getting these visions. I saw a white buffalo, a white bear, a white this and whatever else, and all these animals. And course, I didn't know anything about it. I was like, hey, by the way, I've got some, for the American Indians, I got some message. I got this vision and I saw that, and I didn't know what it meant, and this, and you're going to rise, and I was saying all these things. Meanwhile, it was actually me. And I've actually got more. I actually had a couple of lives, as in, yeah. Anyway. But that one absolutely resonated. I don't know why. When I heard that, I wanted to look into it. And I was trying to find a picture, and I thought, wow. Now, there's an affiliation to that being, whether it was me or I don't know, but there was a very strong, and I had many lives doing that sort of thing anyway. And it's very much in my nature, even in this lifetime, to bring people together to peace. Always trying to make peace and get people to make peace, and bring them together. And okay, now let's all play nice. So it's very much part of my essence, is peacekeeper. Oh man, big time. So I was like, I wonder if that wasn't me. Yes, it just felt like, something that was very familiar to me. I was like, that when you're not hair stands up, but you were like, oh. So yeah, that I would love to. Anyway, it's not serious, because you play enough of, you get after so many past lives, you're like, okay, now the novelty wears off. You don't really need to know them all. What the hell for? You're not them anyway. They're not you at the moment. They're parallel lives, because there's no such thing as time. They're not past. There is no such thing as a past life, because there's no such thing as time anyway. So every single one of those lives are existing now. They just source, which is you. This is why we think we past lives. We are all source. So there's just source experiencing itself in many different ways. So you think you're those people because you are source. The other side of you is part of source. So you're tapping into a parallel reality. You are now here playing me. So how can I be an American Indian in the 2000 playing that? Because he's still alive, running around going la 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 now on another parallel reality, and I'm running around talking to you now. See that? How does that work out? It's fascinating, because it's multidimensional. We're still going to wrap our minds around this, because everything's linear. You see, we think everything happens one at a time. They're all happening. There's only now. They're all happening now. So how can I be 6 different people at the same time unless I'm source? Which I am, which you all are. And that you will realize when you raise your consciousness enough who you actually are. And you're like, But that's human. Seeing is believing, you see. Anyway, long story. But yeah, those ones, that game, that story rung a lot of bells. And about many, which you think are your guides as well. Many shamanic ties and lives, parallels, playing this, or very close ties to that, resonate with them, whatever. Yeah, I'm tired. Finally. Good night. Yes. Night. Nice chatting. Ask. Okay. Even ask them. The name will come to you. It's lovely. Amazing. Amazing. We'll get there. Yes. Very welcome. Yes, I love chatting. I'd love to chat to people. I wish this platform would make a place where we can actually chat. People could ask questions. You could actually have a little bit of a chat, and then someone else can jump in and ask questions. That would be much more interactive. So that would be, we'll get there. But that would be a nice, because it's like you want a conversation. You want to be able to have conversations with other people. That's what's missing on all these social media apps. Because our consciousness is still on the level of dictatorship, because, that's kind of, so we still are talking at people, this dictatorship and leaders, and telling you what to do, and, there's not, we got to get there. So this is nice where you have interaction, or, it's more of a circle sort of thing where you can, everyone shares there, and nobody's like, yeah, anyway, everyone shares there, because everyone's truth. Because we create it, so we can all have a complete different truth. And they're all exactly right, because you can create, there's no one right. There's millions of them parallels going out there. You can just choose whichever one you want to play on. That's the thing. That's just the funky part of it. There's no one truth. And they say, oh, we're looking for the truth. Nope. The only one truth is that you are source. That you'll find out. And you're like, ew. Ooh, is that me playing me? Yes, that is you playing you. Oh, yeah, it is fascinating. When you see it, you're like, wow, it's mind-blowing. When you realize you are source and you are playing yourself, you're playing here, you little, getting a little play, and then you're like, it's a big mind bender for you, very big mind bender. It doesn't, it's when you're used to playing something, you think you're some little silly human, that takes a lot to get your head around. It doesn't just, like people trying to still don't believe that they create their own reality. They're going from back. It takes us time, people. We got a long way to go. Love you all. It's all fun. It's all a massive game. And Source is absolutely in control. So people must stop losing their panties. And know, look at how far it's going. That's your ego, where the fear is coming from. It's all absolutely perfect and all good and all going to be okay. And, focus on what you want, not on what you don't, what you're seeing and what you believe. So think of everything as a menu. Okay. Love you lots, guys. I'm going to figure out how I get out of here again, because I can't remember. Oh, there we are. Bye.